Hello, welcome back to the Cribbage Optimizer project. As you may or may not have noticed, there have been many unexpected technical difficulties, which has led to a bit of a setback within the project itself. So I would like to first and foremost apologize for the latency in my post. Secondly, I'd like to go over these various difficulties, the first of which is memory space. Now, during the creation of the algorithm to predict potential opponent hands, I decided to implement a system where all possible outcomes would be simulated beforehand, and then would be subsequently recalled and then used. Unfortunately, this has turned out to be quite a daunting task. While the actual process of simulating this is fairly short, there is the problem of actually storing all of the data. Several errors, some syntactical, some otherwise, have caused massive memory overloads within my personal computer. So it definitely hasn't been the easiest task in the world getting all of that to work. However, it is now fully functioning. If you would like to predict your opponent's hand based on a certain set of cards in yours, you can simply query the database and it will respond in a timely manner. I am pleased to say that is up and running. Next, we have the problem of, how do I put this? There's just a lot to do. When I created the Cribbage Optimizer, I did not think I would have to simulate cribbage within the optimizer. It was specifically built to be a calculator. However, it is becoming clear to me that it would be very inefficient to not use some form of simulator within the system. So, as some form of game simulator where it keeps track of, okay, this is how many points you have, this is how many points your opponent has, stuff like that. And because of that, it's descending upon me that there is a lot more writing to be done. I do know how this will be done. It's not difficult. I mean, cribbage is, well, I would consider it a fairly simple game. So actually creating the system to facilitate its working, I do not believe it will be overly difficult. I do know how to do it. It's just a lot of things to do. Like chores, you know how to do them. You know how to do them. None of them are very complex or difficult. There's just a lot of them that need doing, and that's why some chores aren't finished. Now, I will finish all of my proverbial chores. However, it is going to need a bit more time than I originally anticipated. Finally, I did more, not really related to the project, but more just out of curiosity, did look into the application of artificial intelligence. It is important. Artificial intelligence. Now, by artificial intelligence, I don't mean like I'm just gonna plug ChatGPT in. No. By artificial intelligence, I mean I am going to program my own artificial intelligence, which from the experiments I did, it seems like it's possible, but it is a bit risky. It is it is possible that it could do just as well or better than the hard-coded version that I am working on now. However, it is a bit risky in that, depending on how training goes, it could be better, it could be worse. I don't really know. And secondly, it's higher risk because I can't come up with a conclusive time estimate on how long it will take to get a fully functioning version, as well as the training itself, how long it will take to simulate everything necessary. But I have looked into it. I think I am going to stick with the hard-coded version simply because I know how it will be done, and I have a fairly good idea of how to do it, and because the hard-coded version by itself that I have come up with will be close to the theoretical limit of how optimal a calculator can be. So there's really there's no real reason to go for AI in this project. It's a very long walk for a very short glass of water. And I don't know about, and my legs are getting weary. I would need to program the AI on top of everything that I need to do, such as simulate like game state and keep track of stuff like cards used and probability. It's just a lot of work it's just a lot of work that for something that isn't even guaranteed to give the small bonus that it would. So I will be continuing with the ordinary hard coding style. Addressing now, I would like to address a few things that I stated earlier in the project. For example, the potential of card counting. It is looking significantly less likely that I will be doing card counting simply because of time constraint. I don't know if there would be enough time to finish the current base model and then go and go through the entire experimentation, implementation, debugging, all of that for a card counting software. But then again, if I do have time, I will definitely look into that, and that might be a good application of AI, depending on how the relevant experiments turn out. Secondly, the counting phase. The counting phase is taking mildly longer to implement. This is because of a small problem in the way that my data is structured. Because it's because of a small issue in the way my data is structured, but I don't think it will be a major issue. See, what's happening is what's happening is inside of my code there I'm using two things to store card values. I'm using lists or tuples, and I am using arrays from a library. Now, the thing about these two things is that they both have their ups and their downs. The arrays are incredibly fast and are perhaps the only way that I can simulate things in a reasonable amount of time. However, they cannot be however, they cannot be added to or removed from. Now, you can modify the data inside, however, you have to define, okay, this amount of cards is going to be in there when you create the array. Lists are different in that you can add and remove as many terms as you want. You don't have to have a set length. However, they are incredibly slow by comparison. Now, the counting phase, the situation that I have worked out with the Minimax algorithm, it would likely from the methods that I've found out insofar, it would likely necessitate me using lists because I need to add and remove cards as the counting phase progresses. However, the lists are, as I mentioned before, incredibly slow in comparison to the arrays. So I am going to have to find a workaround to that. If I do find a workaround, then back to status quo. Anyway, I should be able to get, regarding my next post, I should be able to get it out in a fairly timely manner, considering that the college semester is ending, and as such, I will have more time to devote to the senior project as a whole. So, yeah, next blog post will primarily focus on, I believe, finalizing hand construction as well, and, shall I say, finding the, yes, the counting phase, or at least most of the counting phase. Anyway, that's about it. Good night.